Hello. Today we're going to be talking about Kavin Jay. The Everybody Calm Down. This is a Netflix original comedy special starring Kavin Jay. It's shot in Singapore, and Kavin Jay is a Malaysian comedian. He has Indian descent, and he actually uses that quite a bit in his material. So, for one, he starts out talking about his weight because he is a little bit overweight and not too bad, but to him, like he was making jokes about things like, in China, he's considered like the Michelin man, but then in the United States, he's probably just a medium. Things like that, talking about how when he drops stuff now, he doesn't even bother picking it up because it's too much work. He's pretty funny. It was a very large audience. I'm not sure what the capacity was or how many people there were, but it was a large audience in an auditorium, and he did well. Nobody, there's no hecklers or anything like that. It was basically just him standing up there and talking. No special skits or any kind of extra. It was just jokes. It's about 53 minutes long, and it goes at a really good pace. He also talks about, because of his name, because he has brown skin, and because he's got a long beard. People kind of look at him funny, think maybe he's a terrorist, but he always comes back with, well, there's no fat terrorists, so because terrorists don't go to McDonald's, that kind of thing. It was funny. He talks about like a little more about the terrorists. He talks about like if men get 72 virgins, do women get the same thing if they, agree to be terrorists, and how you can't be a terrorist in Malaysia because you wouldn't be able to keep the explosives long enough, they'd be stolen from you. So he has a lot of jokes about Malaysia and Singapore and their history. Apparently it's contentious. So he does joke about that, like the food difference and how, one thinks their food is better than the other. There's some in-jokes, like he jokes a bit about the government and things like how he went into a Singapore police station and people were actually working there, and it caught him so off guard, he got freaked out and left. Things like that where, if you were from those countries, or, you would understand the joke better, but you can get the context enough to know that it's a funny joke. One thing he talks about is, how the younger generation has it easier to get porn. When he was younger, he had to rely on 56K modems and old computers that took half an hour to boot up and things like that. And he tells some stories about, trying to watch porn at his house when he was younger. And he even tells a story about being caught by his mom, which turned out to be, him and the entire family watching a video that he said was a horror movie, but is actually porn. And it was a very funny story that he's a good comedian, so he delivers the jokes well. He gets the audience involved, and his jokes are pretty good. And one of the other jokes that he has, or a little bit, is about language. He talks about how it's hard to understand English, so a lot of the Asian countries, they don't get the pluralization, so they just pluralize everything, which is why, and he gave some examples of some stories involved with that were pretty funny. And then he talks about like going to England and trying to learn, the difference between English and, the language that they speak in England, which is English, but with different words for things. So, overall, he's a pretty funny comedian. And on Netflix, I gave him 4 out of 5 stars. And yeah, if he came out with another special, I would definitely watch it. And as far as a rating, I would give it a 7 out of 10. He's funny. He's probably not for everybody. His jokes are pretty generic for the most part. Like I said, there were some Singapore and Malaysia jokes, but they're so general and not really specific to certain things that you can understand what the joke is meant to be with no issues. So it is a funny special, and I recommend watching it. So that is Kavin Jay, Everybody Calm Down, and that's a Netflix original comedy special. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.